Back to your daily dose. My name is Robert. My cousin Nicole, who is a licensed family and marriage therapist. We're discussing the cinema therapy program. Nicole is about halfway through the Shawshank Hero's journey right now, and we're talking about the value of one-on-one therapy and also the value of group therapy. Now, before we came on today, I had you look at another dose with one of my students, Terry Van Bibber. She's a woman with Parkinson's who has herself, similar to what you were saying, found surprising value in this work and has done things that just she never would have thought she would have done had she not done this work. And I'm not trying to trumpet the program so much as show actual effect of the work, right? And she really came to a place of saying, this happened because I allowed myself to be in space with others, with people I felt safe and brave with that she couldn't do one-on-one. Can you talk about the value? And again, I don't want to dissuade people from one-on-one. I just want to say there's maybe other options and maybe this specific option of a group where a group might do something different, not better, but different and valuable to people who might be missing something, because there are people who get stuck one-on-one. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the, most difficult experiences we can have is to feel alone in our pain and suffering. And we can look at that on many different levels, but I think that in general, a sense of connection, community, and belonging and a shared experience is really healing. And it can really provide breakthroughs for people, or to hear like, oh, you're experiencing that too, or can really I think dissipate some of that shame or that self-criticism or that feeling very alone in something can really slip away a little bit. So
I love what you're saying about that because isolation is within Parkinson's certainly the killer, right? That is, we know the physical aspects, we work on those things. However, it's in isolation that everything gets a lot worse really quickly. So that's not obviously just a Parkinson's condition, that's a human condition.
yeah.
As we see a lot coming out of COVID too, right? So within this space, support groups, people know about them, varying degrees. I've done a lot of research on them recently, and people want to believe that's an answer, but it becomes sometimes a default answer without much thought, like, oh, have you done therapy? Or, oh, have you gone to a support group? And there's a lot of flavors of therapy. There's a lot of flavors of support group. So maybe talk about that, the value of finding where you fit in and what people might be able to find in that space, to find their voice, will do their right for it. Does that make sense?
I think so, and I'm going to answer it this way, and you can let me know if I'm answering, like if I'm tracking. I think what comes to mind is a person that goes to a yoga class, and person A um, is in yoga and is noticing how they're less flexible than the person next to them, and they fall over because they've lost their balance here, and oh, I don't have like the cute yoga clothes, and there's all these things, right? And then there's the person that before going to yoga is very clear on their intention, right? And how they want to utilize the space for them.
Mm.
And I think the same can be true. I mean, certainly there's certain moderators or counselors or therapists that are going to be a better fit or whatnot. But I think there's a similar truth around like your intentionality and how you're going to show up, um, and what's your why behind it. That's really going to impact what you get out of it.
I think that's huge. I love the way you answered that. And, from my standpoint as an instructor, and maybe you've seen some of this or seen me work and know me well enough as your cousin too, to say that, I say it out loud too. My job, is to figure out the culture, the needs of the group, and I'm constantly making adjustments to get the group to come together. This week, for instance, I made a big plea to everyone to make sure to read each other's writing,
Yeah.
right? To try to do that. So, you're right. There's a lot of factors that go into, and I love the idea of the intentionality of the student, client, participant, whatever you want to say. That to me, as the instructor, is the complete uncontrollable, right?
Mhm.
I don't know what someone's going to come with. I mean, there's an assumption that they're interested if they came in and they paid tuition. However, if they're not turning in work, if they're not really engaging, you've probably gotten this before. People say, "Oh, therapy doesn't work for me." Well, I mean, it's the old line from AA. It works if you work it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really. I'm going to cap this for now, but I love the way you put that about the intentionality of the student. And yeah, we'll come back with something else in a minute. Good job.